We are.
We were live.
Welcome everyone to the Monday, March 27th City Council meeting. We're going to start the meeting with Madam Clerk. Roll call, please.
Melissa Green.
Present.
Steve Holofield.
Here.
Harry Meyer.
Here.
Autumn Slane is absent with notice. David Avanzino.
Present.
Terry McClung.
I'm here. And as you can see, I'm acting as Mayor Pro Tem in the absence of Mayor Barry this evening. Let's please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to have approval of the agenda. The motion to approve it.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second. Discussion, please.
Okay, we have the number one on unfinished business is off the agenda for tonight, and it may be off permanently. I've not heard one way or the other. Yes, sir. Mr.
I'd like to add
Avanzino.
one item to the agenda.
Okay.
Discussion of Trans Day of Visibility, March 31st.
Say that again.
Proclamation for the Trans Day of Visibility for March 31st.
Is that something we need on the agenda, or is that just an announcement you need to make, or?
It's actually, there should be a proclamation that's already been,
I don't think we don't have one here tonight.
You have it.
David, do you have it?
oh, it's already done.
Yeah, you'll read it during commission.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And then I'd like to postpone number 4 in new business, please, till next meeting.
All righty.
Number 4 or number 5?
Number 4.
And we don't need David's addition either, do
Right.
we?
No.
Okay. All righty, then, motion has been made, and can we approve the agenda as amended then?
Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, so it's 3, so I agree, I concur with the ayes, so that passes. Let's see then, we've got commissions, planning, CAPC, position 3 is vacant, hospital looks good, Parks has still got a couple of vacant spots, HDC has 1, and I think there are some applications up. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, excuse me. Thank you. Approval of the minutes
I
for
make a
March
motion.
13th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for March 13th, 2023.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. No opposed. Okay. Sorry about skipping that. We got her covered now. So I think we've got some applications coming in at the next meeting for some of the commission positions, and it will be made available to the council people at that time. So that brings us to public comments, 3 minutes for each citizen. Please be sure and state your name and address when you start.
Ferguson Stewart, 7 Harvey Road. I'd like to first thank all of you for taking and running for office, and thank you for serving the community. And what's one of the things I want to talk about was even in a lot of organizations I belong to, the American Legion, the Masonic Lodge, and I want to remind you that we the people is how the Constitution starts. So we the people, we need you to help and help your constituents and stick with your stuff, because I know it's hard up there, hard decisions to be made, and I appreciate your making them, and I appreciate you letting me be one of your commissioners. But please stand the standards on our building codes, our international building standards. We must have everyone comply to those, if we're going to have a safe and well community. And so I ask you to look at that standard, and then, but also let's support our employees. Let's make sure that we keep the good employees, because it's hard to find good people in some of these positions we have. So I ask you to do that, to do the hard lifting. And it's hard out there. I know it's easy. People think how easy it is. I've been up there. I've had to make hard decisions. I've had to say no. And it's hard to say no. But we've got to be honored to ourselves and honored to our constituents. So thank you.
Hello, Council. My name is John Rankin, and I am co-owner of 1 Washington Street in Eureka Springs. I was recently informed by a city employee that apparently City Council or any city commissioner can make up stuff about you, even threaten you publicly without repercussions. Does Take It Outside ring a bell? At the last council meeting, I was not about to listen to councilperson Harry Myers spew lies about what he calls a fire trap on 1 Washington Street and the disregard we have for our tenants' safety. Myers seemed to make a big deal of a dangerous gas heater he found parked in front of our fourplex that was never in use in any of our units. Ask any landlord about smoke detectors, and they will tell you that tenants always dismantle them or destroy them. Smoke detectors had been installed in all 4 units. Nobody knows how the St. Patrick's Day fire started, except that it ignited outside, spread to the lower deck, and got inside one of the units. I'm surprised Councilman Myers did not accuse us of faulty wiring. We always had safety concerns about the 3rd-level attic that was destroyed in the fire. It was why we had it closed off to tenants. In reality, we all live in a Victorian tinderbox, wooden structures over 100 years old that, if ignited, could wreak havoc on our town. When the renovation of 1 Washington Street and its 4 2-bedroom units is complete, it will be safer than 90% of the homes in Eureka Springs. New firewalls will be put in according to fire code. The 2 exits per unit will remain. All gas used for heat and cooking will be replaced with electric. There's all new electric wiring, plumbing, and heat and air installed, making the units much safer than before. And there will be hardwired smoke detectors installed, at least 3 in each unit. Councilman Myers made it clear from the beginning he was against our project. His righteous indignation on the safety of his constituents while publicly badmouthing us as not caring for the safety of our tenants is disingenuous at best. So moving on. I personally don't know who Planning Commissioner Tom Buford is, but I have publicly asked him and the Commission in the past that if they had questions or concerns about a renovation project, to please come to Bill or myself directly before spewing misleading information, conjecture, or innuendo that portrays us and our project in a bad light. Alas, it was to my dismay, after reading this week's Independent, that Planning Commissioner Tom Buford had a lot to say about 1 Washington Street. I'm not sure where Mr. Buford is getting this false and misleading information, but I can guess.
Mr. Rankin, I think you're out of time.
I would also like to take these few remaining seconds
Mr. Rankin,
to thank everyone.
You're out of time, sir.
I would like to take these few remaining seconds to thank everyone who came out and who wrote letters in support of our Washington Street project last week. Billy and I were moved by your comments. Thank you.
I ask that everyone please adhere to the 3 minutes. We're not going to have anything out of the ordinary, and there's no arguments. It's all going to be on the up and up. So, is there anyone else?
My name is Bill King. I have several properties in town. Lately, I've heard several locals complain that people with big city money are buying a property and bringing their big city elitist attitudes with them. While I understand that places and times change, I too have observed a rampant rise in elitism in recent years. This rant has been smoldering in me for some time, but was ignited by a comment made by a commissioner at a recent Planning Commission meeting. We need rental properties, the commissioner stated, but the permanent residents come first. So, just what is the definition of a permanent resident? Is the term interchangeable with property owner? Is this the 18th century? There are hundreds of permanent resident renters who have been here much longer than many homeowners and who will still be here when many of those property owners move on. Many long-term permanent residents don't own property precisely because they are long-term residents. Eureka Springs is not a place to find your fortune. Most who have any kind of fortune arrived with it. Many of the property class don't want renters in their neighborhoods, and they don't want them parking in front of their meticulously restored Victorians. Not long ago, someone seeking a conditional use permit for a vacation rental said they couldn't rent to long-term as it would only bring in $800 a month, and that kind of rent only attracts riffraff. Of course they got the permit. It's that riffraff who allow the town to function. They cook and serve the privileged in restaurants, clean the homes, check out their groceries, and see to the needs of visitors. They work hard just to scrape by to pay the rent, if they can find a rental. Those who run the city pay lip service to the need of affordable rental property, but it's always with a not-in-my-backyard attitude. Can't those people just live in Berryville, Holiday Island, or out on Pivot Rock Road? Owning property does not make one resident more important than another, and it is the elitist of the property owners in the city government owning property does not make one more of a resident, and it is elitist of the property owners in the city government to favor owners over renters. Renters are vital to our community and our neighborhoods. As a co-owner of several properties, I may be part of the elite, but as a former renter, I relate to the plight of renters. I left town for several years to make my very small fortune, which I brought back home and invested in providing decent, affordable housing and commercial spaces for renters. Eureka Springs prides itself on diversity, but is it really diverse? We have very few people of color and very few from other cultures. Just having gay people does not make a place diverse. More than diverse, I would say the city has become classist. The lack of diversity is apparent at the city council table and on the city commissions. I will stop there.
Thank you, Mr. King.
Hey, City Council, Pat Matsoukas, 5 Mountain Street. I don't know if any of you caught the Planning Commission, the last one, where the property owner up on Angus that wanted to build was denied. And at the end of the day, he said to the commission, and I quote, Mr. Ray continues, and this is what was told to me by Mr. Crenshaw. He got everyone together in the mayor's office, told them what he wanted to do, and they all signed off on it and said, go for it. Moments later, same speaker said, that's the history. That's why you won't see any variances on record. It was all pretty much of a handshake, I believe. I don't know when it became the purview of the mayor, the building inspector, and any realtor to determine our fate. We have commissions that do that. The unfortunate part of this is that you guys, as the council, control the budget. You have the right to say to us, as we say to you, we need a city planner. We need consistencies in what happens. And we don't have it. And it's up to you to make it happen. You switch the budget, you have to allow this money to happen. One of the biggest challenges we have in Eureka is that everybody plans their own future. Parks do what they want to do, CAPC does what it wants to do, residents, if they have enough money or sit on the council, get to put on illegal historic parts of their building, while others are persecuted. There's a real inconsistent message here, you guys, and you guys have control of it. 1, through budget, 2, through legislation. I ask you to get the parks back under control by having them answer to the council. Every commission should answer to the council as the council answers to the mayor and the voters. It has to be a triangle. Commissions can't have their own autonomy so far out there that they don't answer to anyone. And with the parks having a $1 million budget this year, isn't it time that we redistributed that tax money and take that tax away from them? It looks like they've got legs now. They can stand on their own. But isn't it time we redirect that money to another project here in town like the auditorium or other things that we need as a community? That's it. And also, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Masukas. Anyone else? Okay, that'll be the end of public comments for this evening. Now we'll go to the agenda, and we'll go to number 2, sidewalks on East Mountain. Mr. Meyer?
Motion to discuss.
Second.
Last week, asked for a report from the streets department on what's happening there, and I guess Simon's out of town, and the mayor's out of town, so I guess we'll have to put it off till next week.
The mayor did say that they are looking into cost evaluations for the sidewalk on East Mountain. I mean, it's as with the sidewalk up on Highway 62 that is now under construction. These things take time. There's a lot
Sure.
of planning involved. There's funding.
Of course there is.
And
Yes.
everything, but it's the beginning, and,
Right.
and nothing happens without a beginning. So
All I can do is tell the citizens that if they want that sidewalk in, please voice your support. I think it's a good idea. There's a lot of families, kids, a lot of traffic. There's 600 cars a day that travel on that street. People like to walk with their kids and their dogs, and it would be safer with a sidewalk.
I suggest, Mr. Myers, that a couple of 2-3 meetings down the road, you might bring it up again and get it put back on.
Fair enough.
Let the mayor see where we are, see if he's actually making any headway.
Fair enough.
Okay, under new business, discussion of the new city website, Mr. Evanzino.
Yes, thank you. So with motion to discuss, please.
Second.
Thank you. I'm just going to jump right in. As most people are aware, the new website for CEPC just rolled out. Yes, it needs work. I will admit that. I think everyone can admit that. And in looking at our city's website, it was brought up a couple of times that sometimes this website will reroute you to less than desirable pages or cookies, whatever you have it. And so I was talking with Madam Clerk about ways to improve our current city website. It is very clunky, it is hard to use, it is hard to navigate. Citizens don't know where to go to fill out an application for whatever the reason may be. Looking at municipal codes is very difficult, and I would like the council to, not at this time of course, but in the future when we discuss budgeting for next year, to look at options that are out there to make our website more user-friendly, more resident-friendly. There can be a direct link posted from the Visit Eureka Springs, the new website, that goes to the city website and vice versa. I did speak with Madam Clerk about one of the options that she has that essentially, from what I understand, most municipalities in the state use, that is very user-friendly, very easy, very secure when you pay your bills online. Because to be honest with you, I don't pay my bills online using that city website because I'm afraid of where the money's going to go. So I just want to start the discussion so that it's on our radar when we start looking at budget for next year to redesign and redevelop this website so that it's more friendly for our residents.
Madam Clerk, do you have anything on this at all?
Yeah, Michael and I have been doing research on different developers. When I lived in Fayetteville, I found that their website was super easy to navigate. Also, International Municipal Clerks Association uses the same organization. We're familiar with it because it's on our municipal code is through Civic Plus, which is through MuniCode, so when you get diverted to it. So we reached out to REP, and we're getting estimates on that. Michael and I were discussing if you guys have certain features that you want on the website or want to be a part of it, maybe we could look into starting like a website committee, with council members also, but with department heads, because I would be the one uploading ordinances, agendas, things like that, so it has to be user-friendly for the public, and I'd like it to be, easy accessible for myself as well. So if that's an option. We just have to get with, the mayor and legal on that and see how that would work. But I think a committee would be cool if you guys wanted to be involved in that.
I think that's a great idea. We just, again, have to be careful of who's on it and how it, gets structured. And there's got to be a way to do it that we can have the involvement that we need, with the city council, the CABC even, and any other entities that need to be, that wish to have inputted, to get it directed in the, the right format and everything that, it's something I'm not familiar with. I'm not good at that stuff, but I'm glad that there's people that are. Yes,
Mr.
Steve.
McClung.
Yeah, and I think we have some really talented people in the community that moved here. Some people work from home on the computers. So I think putting it out to the community as well, getting some people, I don't want to be on it. I'm not great with computers. I know some people could be.
If there's a template that other cities have been using, that's what we need to snatch onto, because.
Yeah, if you'll go to the city of Fayetteville and look at their city
Yeah,
website,
I'm sure
is
it wasn't
phenomenal.
built from the ground up. I'm sure there was some sort of template that they used.
Yeah.
I went to the city of Ozark, and you click on the police department, you see the police chief, and you see all the officers there, and they tell them, you click on budget, and poof, the budget shows up. It can be done. I
Sure.
don't think it'll cost a fortune.
I have info on that company if anyone wants info. We've already requested a consultation. We're waiting for a call back.
Cool.
That's great. Sounds like we're headed in the right direction. Good deal.
Thank you, Ida.
Let's keep us informed so, it doesn't fall off the radar. Okay. A motion to discuss the fire marshal fire hazards, Mr. Meyer.
Yes, motion to discuss.
Second.
Is the fire marshal here? Wonderful.
Going tonight?
Yeah, get a little closer to that
All
thing.
right.
Can you tell us what sort of inspections that you're supposed to be doing to rentals, overnight rentals, hotels,
Well,
motels?
the hotels and motels are easy because it's a business and I can just get in there and inspect. Apartments are kind of a different animal because people are living there long-term, and the Fourth Amendment being what it is, you can't just go walking in people's houses and start telling them what's what. So I've actually been developing a form that I'm going to start emailing out to our apartment complexes, where they can kind of fill a form out and kind of see where they're at on their fire extinguishers, their smoke detectors. Those are two of the bigger things that I would look at if it's already been built. Obviously something like this other project, there's other things that I'm looking into. But yeah, the hotels, motels, I try to get in them as often as I can. Try to get in them annually, but there's so many businesses in town, it's difficult
Sure.
for one person. But
Well, the nightly rentals should be easy because
The
they're
nightly
not
rentals aren't
occupied all the
bad.
time.
yeah, I usually just call them and schedule a time when they don't have people in there,
Yeah.
or if certain units are empty, I can get in certain units.
Do you do that annually?
I try to, yes.
Okay.
So what you're trying to do is inspect all commercial properties at least once a year?
Yes. It's a difficult undertaking, but that's what I'm trying to do.
Sure it
yes.
is. I understand. Lots to cover.
I think you're right, sending that form out to all the, you know,
I got to give credit where it's due. Y'all were talking about the website. I was actually on Fayetteville's website just a couple of weeks ago, and I sort of stole this form from them. That's what they do with their apartments, and so I re-engineered it for us.
poor folks have poor
Obviously,
ways.
Fayetteville has tons of apartments, and we really don't, but I think it'll fit the need of at least getting the information out there that's like, hey, we want to know what's going on in these apartments. Maybe an apartment manager could just make sure the batteries are getting changed, smoke detectors are working, there's an extinguisher out the front door if they need it. But
Yeah, hardwired smoke
yes,
detectors that
they
are,
need to be hardwired. Also, any of them that are being built now, I require that in the same unit that they're interconnected, so that if the bedroom goes off, then the one in the living room also goes off.
I know that our previous fire marshal had required interconnected hardwired ones
Yes.
between apartments or between nightly rentals, so that if somebody's downstairs in there and they have a fire, it'll go off upstairs. Everyone can get out of the building.
Yeah, we're still doing that. That's in the code. So,
All right,
Does
thank you.
Does
You're
anyone
very
else
welcome.
have any questions for the fire marshal? Phil?
I'm just curious, is carbon monoxide detectors, are they required at all?
carbon monoxide detectors are required whenever you've got gas running your appliances. If you've got any kind of open flame device, particularly if it's downstairs from where the residences are, because it's slightly lighter than air, so it tends to migrate upward. Yes, that is in the code. If they have gas appliances, that they have to have carbon monoxide detection.
Cool, thank you.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Anything else with that, Mr. Meyer?
No, that satisfies me for now.
Okay, the next on the agenda is police cars taken outside the city limits, and that was brought up by me, but I need to have somebody else.
Okay. Motion to discuss.
Second.
Okay, this has been on before us before, and I remember it a number of years ago, and we were told at that time that the police cars were not being taken home. And at that time, I'm sure that they were not. Since then, it's been brought up again, and Mr. Myers looked into it, and there are officers driving cars home, and so it's come up again. And come to find out, and I had a discussion with the chief and also the mayor, and the chief told me that he had brought it up to the mayor just a few years ago that it was going to be done by his, by the police department as an incentive, one, to help keep the employees on, and two, to have that, have them ready if they needed to be called in, that they would have a car that has everything in it, where they didn't have to come to the station, they didn't have, it was all, and there's lots of departments that actually do this. And I had a discussion with the mayor about this past week, and he said, I guess I just forgot. Which, what can I say about that?
I say it was kind of a broad discussion over 2 years ago, so.
Yeah, so, it's, apparently it's been going on, and departments all over do it. It's not just us, and there's reasons for doing it, and I can let the police chief present that to you all. And Harry, you want to say something first?
Yeah, I don't know how many drive their cars home. Or they all drive their cars home?
They have to live within the county, and they can drive their car home, and they can drive it to work. They cannot use it for any kind of personal use. So there are officers that, whenever they get off shift, that they have to do personal things, whether it be pick up their children or something like that. Well, then no, they can't take their car home. Then they leave it at the PD.
There's a car that goes to Blue Eye, or damn near Blue Eye.
We don't have anyone that lives up in Blue Eye.
Well, I met one going that way.
I've heard you say that, and I've even questioned my officers on that, but I don't have anyone that lives up there.
I wonder why he was going that way.
I don't either. Trust me, whenever I heard that, I looked into it. But you can believe me, I looked into it.
Well,
but I don't have anyone that lives up there.
That's part of the reason why I mentioned that we need the sort of fleet card program.
And like I say, it's
because
kinda, I guess it's not necessarily getting off topic, but you can talk about that. Is something that I looked into, as a matter of fact. I did speak with someone with Magnus about that whole setup. But we're talking probably in the neighborhood of about 1.5 million in a large enough area to put that in, because they wouldn't want to mess with it unless it's a big enough area that they could bring an 18-wheeler in to drop, which we can't do that at the PD.
Well, that's a transport load is different from the fleet system. The fleet system I'm talking about is a card system. So when somebody gets gas, they have to input their mileage, the car ID, who they are, and so forth. And then at the end of the month, you can calculate what the fuel economy is, or how many miles they drove. If they live 10 miles from Eureka Springs and they put 30 miles a day on it, then there's something wrong.
And we got guys, depending on what they're doing during the shift, but you can have guys run anywhere from 40 miles on a shift to over 100 miles on a shift. It's not uncommon to see a car, I know because I did it for years and years and years, and it's not uncommon for proactive patrol to put 100 miles on a shift, even within 4 square miles.
It may be time to start buying some electric cars.
We have nowhere to charge them.
You can charge them at the police station. I charge them in my garage.
I know we've discussed this before, but as far as for budgetary reasons for those electric cars, and looking into them, the only thing police-wise would be the Tesla. And that is super, super expensive when I can buy.
The car that you drive home, a car like mine would work.
Right, but the maintenance on that car.
Huh?
I've looked into those before. And the maintenance on that car.
There's no maintenance.
I understand it is, but if they have to have batteries replaced, and a Chevy Bolt is $25,000 to replace
I think we're starting to stray a little bit.
Wait, time out. No. You got a 100,000-mile warranty on a Chevy Bolt battery, okay? There's no maintenance, there's no replacement.
We don't replace our cars till they get well over 100,000 miles.
I know Chevy Bolts that have been used for Lyft and for Uber that have got 400,000 miles on the original battery, and the depletion of the battery is less than 20%.
I think that is a topic for future discussion as far as the electric vehicles, but what's on the agenda tonight is the
take-home cars. This is something, like I say, it's something that was started years and years ago. I know 2004, whenever I came here from county, we had take-home cars. Whenever the gas prices soared up to $5 a gallon, we was having budget restraints. Chief Hyatt pulled the take-home cars at that time, administratively pulled the take-home cars. We were not ever able to reenact them until the economy kind of came back in order and the city budgets got back in order. We re-implemented the take-home cars a few years back, just like Mr. McClung had talked about. One of the big things is because of the competition for officers. I know right now, it used to be, back in the day, we just kind of had our local competition around here now. We're having to compete with the corridor now. And right now, the corridors, for certified officers, they're bringing them in at $61,000 and giving them $10,000 bonuses. We can't compete with that. Plus, they're getting certificate pay and everything else. Our guys are happy if they can just take their car home and not. And they're not even worried about using any kind of personal use. In other departments, they allow personal use, but we don't. That's a strict thing. I'm not getting into personal use. I'm not getting into the liabilities of personal use, and I'm not going to put the city in that. And they're fine with that.
Mr. Avanzino?
Yeah, I just want to go on record that I do support officers taking their vehicles home for the very reasons that have been mentioned. And putting all that aside, the extra 10, let's just say 10 minutes, if an officer was not allowed to take his or her car home, they would have to come to the station, do what they need to do to switch over. That extra 5 or 10 minutes could mean the life of somebody or the protection of an abused spouse. So them being able to get directly in their car and answer a call straight away can save a life. And that's what matters to me the most.
Mr. McClung?
Yes, sir. Mr. Meyer.
A lot of municipalities, if their officers live in the city limits, allow them to drive them home simply because it's proven that if a police car is parked in a neighborhood, it deters crime. So now if we're letting somebody drive a car to Holiday Island or further, and I know they're further, we're deterring crime in Holiday Island. It's, if we have to provide a vehicle and we spend a ton of money on police cars, not just the gas, but the maintenance, it's a big chunk of the budget. And it appears since we need vehicles and we need things in public works that has been neglected and we don't have the money to dump it in, we got to find the money somewhere. Someone told me once, if we doubled the police force, would we cut the crime in half? If we cut the police force in half, would we double the crime? No. So it's not that I want to kill the police force. It's just that I think we can't afford to have a gold-plated police force.
Well, we also can't afford to not have a police force because we're not paying them a competitive salary or wage.
We absolutely have to have a police force. If we don't have as big a police force, we can pay the policemen that we have a more competitive wage, couldn't we?
I'm not going to deny that, but especially in season with tourists and the thousands of people that come, a 5-member police squad is not going to take care of what the city needs.
Ms. Green, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to kind of echo David a little bit. A lot of our policemen, our service workers, like our firemen, our medical, our restaurant workers, they can't afford to live in this town anymore. They're lucky that they were able to maybe buy or rent in Berryville or Holiday Island. And we are competitive. We don't pay much for our employees, and people want to live here. And so we have to respect that, maybe they shouldn't be driving to Holiday Island. But I agree with David. I want that police officer to be able to come and help me if I need it and not have to switch cars. I just think that we have enough police and they're needed. What do we have, like 2 a shift or something? And that's not very many police for as big of an area as we have. I mean, we're lucky we don't have a lot of crime here. But I think we also can thank our police department for that. So I'm not against them.
That's one of the big things that we've been talking about, and I'm talking about with my guys. And some of them are younger, which for us, we're actually benefit with the younger officers because the younger officers are the real go-getters out there. And they're out there. And if anyone's ever worked in around, police departments, which I know y'all have seen these before, those younger guys, they're out there and they're proactively patrolling. They're being seen. And with that being seen, which we can even see it in our stats, even going through the COVID era, from when we was going through the COVID era when we were really short-handed, and now when we get back fully staffed, we can see in the stats on the crime rates, the major crimes, major crime, we got your little petty thefts here and there, but our major crimes that we had before, they're almost gone compared to what they were.
It
I
is a
think a big thing of that is
catch-22.
proactive patrolling.
It is a catch-22.
Mhm.
You know, we're limited in the housing that we have inside the city. And so employees, whether they're city or in the private sector, they have to live outside of the city limits. And so I think we have to be a little forgiving in that respect because of our situation. But Mr. Myers is right. I mean, in the fact that, you know, we have all these other needs and you know, there's ways to try and cut corners and with one department to service another department. Is that the right way to do things? You know, it's a tough call. You know, these are decisions that we collectively have to make as time goes by and we evaluate things. Yes, sir.
I worked for the Austin Police Department for 20 years as a victim service counselor, a civilian employee. And I can say that taking cars home, one, for on-call was very common, but two, as a perk. When they couldn't give the officers pay raises, that was one of the things they could offer them. And as the chief was saying, when the budget got tight, that's the first thing they pulled back was those cars. So it's a very common practice within the police departments to do
Mr.
that.
Myers?
So.
One of the things I asked Mike was that, okay, it's a perk, they're driving it home, if they're driving very far. Shouldn't that be on their income tax statement?
Only if they use it for personal use.
Well, driving home and to work is personal use.
I wouldn't know how you'd even try to calculate that one.
That was looked into. Well,
Anything else for the chief or other comments regarding the topic?
Nope.
The only thing I can say, chief, is keep an eye on the crew, you know, because we're aware of it. So it does, people see things. So, you know, they must be responsible, you know, and follow the guidelines that you set for them, or we'll have this discussion again, and I'd rather not.
right. And I've told them that before, and they're fully aware of that, especially with their cars. I mean, they stick out like a sore thumb. And I mean, even, you know, I've been accused of using mine for personal use, and a lot of people don't know. My wife has a white Durango, you know. It's kind of like one of my officers, they thought that they had another car there. No, that's his personal gray Charger, you know. It's just, we have cars, and sometimes they're similar to police cars.
Sure. We appreciate you very much. Any other questions? Okay.
No.
Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
Chief.
Thank
All right, thank
Thanks,
you.
Chief.
That puts us to the discussion of that's
No,
off.
no, that's-
So I think we're done for this evening. Now we are at agenda setting. Anyone have anything to bring up for the next meeting?
Just
Yes,
a
sir.
quick question about is Kim still here? Kim, the resolution for TDOV, does that need,
It's a proclamation.
Oh, I'm
The
sorry,
mayor-
proclamation.
The mayor already signed it, so you can read it during your commissioner comments. It's already been proclaimed. He's not here to, usually he would read it during mayor's comments, but he's not here to do so.
okay,
So,
so I'll just read mine. Okay.
yeah. Do you have a copy?
Pardon?
Do you have a copy?
Really?
That was a good one. Okay, anything else agenda setting wise for the next meeting? All right, we'll do council comments. Harry, you're up.
Well, weather's warmer. Got my Model T all tore apart, and I'm starting to put it back together, so I'm ready for summer.
Good luck with that project. Melissa?
There were some interesting points brought up tonight, and we talked about, you know, people living here, and Mr. King and Mr. Rankin brought up some strong things. One of the things that's distressing to me is we, in America, judge people by the money they make, not the jobs they do. And we have a lot of people that work in this town, and they're our heart and soul. And without them, we wouldn't have the things that we have. So I'm just going to ask everybody, you know, praise our employees. Our city employees are wonderful. You know, they are our heart and soul.
Mr. Avanzino?
Can you
David?
save me for last, please?
Who wants to go last?
Oh, you want?
Save me for...
Sure. That's
I'm actually looking for this. I can't believe I can't find it.
Steve, go ahead.
I'm not going to buy you much time, sorry. CAPC still has a vacancy. We need people on the commission. And I'd like to wish Miss Melissa Green happy birthday. Today is her birthday, and she's spending her birthday with us. So, happy birthday. That's it.
All right, thanks, Terry. So I'd like to read a proclamation from the Office of the Mayor, City of Eureka Springs. Proclamation, whereas International Transgender Day of Visibility was founded in 2009 by U.S.-based transgender activist Rachel Crandall, created to acknowledge and honor the successes achieved by transgender, gender nonconforming, and non-binary people. And whereas International Transgender Day of Visibility celebrates the lives of transgender people, empowers transgender people to live authentically, and acknowledges that due to discrimination, not every transgender person can or wants to be visible. And whereas organizations across the world celebrate International Transgender Day of Visibility as an annual day to celebrate the accomplishments and victories of transgender people while raising awareness of the work that is still needed to save transgender lives. Sorry.
Is that it?
No, it's not.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just having a moment.
Okay.
And whereas International Transgender Day of Visibility is intended to recognize and celebrate the work that is being done by transgender advocacy groups and individuals as they fight for dignity and equal rights for members of the transgender community, to build inclusive and healing spaces, and to protect and defend those who are most vulnerable. And whereas the City of Eureka Springs recognizes the significant contributions made by transgender people and affirms that they are vital members of our community. Now therefore, I, Robert Butchberry, Mayor of the City of Eureka Springs, do hereby proclaim March 31st, 2023 as International Transgender Day of Visibility in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, in coordination with cities across the world.
Thank you, Mr. Avanzino.
Isn't there going to be something at the park?
Yes, we will be having a Transgender Day of Visibility rally in Basin Park from 5 to 6 on the 31st of this month, followed by some music that is being put on. The proclamation will be read again. We will have speakers, microphone, anybody who wants to say anything. So feel free to come out and support our own community of transgender individuals.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Mayor's comments. There's an invitation from the Cemetery Commission, and they will hold a grave marker cleaning workshop and work session on April 8th from 9 a.m. till noon. And I've done that, been out there and helped clean headstones, and it is rewarding. At noon, the commission invites everyone to join Mayor Berry as we dedicate the new cemetery office building, followed by an open house and lunch. Everything is free, and the public is warmly invited to participate and attend. And I don't know if you've noticed, but the fence has been redone on the front. It hasn't been painted yet, but it's straight, it's true, it's all in place. It's really taken shape. It looks good. You wouldn't think something like that would be that important, but it really is, because that's the entry into town. So here we go. Let's see what's else. Lots of good stuff coming up here in the next couple of weeks in Eureka Springs. All Fools Day Parade will step off at 2 p.m. on April 1st, the 23rd, from Spring Street, from 123 Spring Street. I guess that's up by the library. Put on your fool's cap and join the parade. So I don't know if that's a truthful statement or not. I don't know if it's really going to happen or not, maybe. And then drumming in the park commences April 1st at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. in Basin Park, and so that's a good feature that's back. and we'll continue on the first Saturday monthly through September. Amy Grant is in concert April 1st at the Odd, right here in this building. Show begins at 7:30, and there are still a few tickets left. April Diversity will be happening in Basin Park on April 8th from mid-morning to 4 p.m., and the Jesus Parade will step off at 2 p.m. on April 8th from the library coming down Spring Street. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming.